Greetings, Doc John here, and I am the Entreprofessor. For those of you who are new to the channel, just a little bit of background. I am a new professor of entrepreneurship, left corporate America after a lot of years in the technology industry, and now starting to be a teacher and a professor in the COVID era. So having to do a lot of online learning. So one of the things I'm doing is chronicling some of the things that I'm learning about as I go. So if you are a new professor as well, hopefully we can learn together. If you are an experienced professor, but just starting to work more with online learning, hopefully some of the things I'm doing are useful. And if you study the field of entrepreneurship, a lot of what I'll be presenting is the learning modalities and some of the tools I'm using to teach entrepreneurship. And a lot of them involve entrepreneurial ventures and different tools that are being created for this space. So hopefully this is useful. Today I'm going to talk about a subject that is probably familiar if you've been teaching for any period of time, but as a new professor, something I find finding very useful. So I'm going to share what I'm doing with it, and it's Harvard Business Publishing. They provide a whole range of content to support instructors in just about any area of study. So everything from articles, journal articles, different studies, case studies in particular is a strength of theirs. They have simulators, they have predefined curriculum, they have books and so forth. So a lot of great material that you can pretty easily incorporate into your class. A lot of times, even though the material is paid by students like it would be a textbook, it's fairly inexpensive. Oftentimes $5 to $10 will get a really great set of content that can be used in a class that students can purchase, and often can even replace using a traditional textbook or go alongside of a traditional textbook. So I'm going to share some of the things that I'm doing, some of the things I'm excited about with the platform, and hopefully it's useful to you as well. So here we are in the Harvard Business Publishing setup. You do have to do a few things to get set up to kind of prove that you are a faculty or teaching faculty. So you have to do a little bit of setup whenever you first get in. Once you have access, though, you're able to view any of the content that's available as a like an educator version of it. You can experiment with simulators and so forth. And then you can create either a content set just for yourself, like a library, or you can create a course pack, which you can ultimately publish to students. So let me show you a little bit about how I'm using this here. So in particular, if I'm going to look, you'd start with your field of study because entrepreneurship is the area I focus on. When I come in here, it gives me lots of different topics within the field of entrepreneurship. So types of entrepreneurship, startup focused material, going public, entrepreneurs, individuals, ventures, entrepreneurial management, so forth. And as you can see here, they have even different books and articles that they will recommend. They have even prescribed learning tracks that you can adopt or follow. They show you what's popular, so a lot of times you can find some really interesting articles just by seeing what others are doing. So just using some of the examples here, looking at like a new article, how venture capitalists make decisions, you're able to go in and get a view of just an explanation for it. Sometimes there'll be reviews, or even the author will have a video posted in some cases. But ultimately, you can get this educator copy. A lot of times, if you're a Mac user like me, you'll download it and be able to look at it as a PDF, and you can see the full article and look at it here. So just really has some great tools to be able to find information, find articles that can be used. But then ultimately, you have the ability then to add these to a collection or a course pack. So I would go through, and I've created different collections. So if I'm going into, say, entrepreneurship and I want to add this one, I can add that to the collection. It's now part of that. Or if I want to make it such that students will do it, I'll add a course pack for the course and then add this in, and ultimately they'll get a link. They would pay $4.25 to have access to this article during the course, and so it can be used as a way to augment course material. So within collections, I've started to create various collections for different topics or courses that I plan to teach. So entrepreneurship, innovation, some focus in the restaurant industry, organizational sustainability. So these are just some of the ones that I've created. When I drill into these, you'll see all the different articles that I've found and use to at least potentially incorporate into classes. So different case studies or articles, and also simulators. Now, I'm not going to go deep into simulators here in this video, but perhaps I'll make one later where with simulators you have the ability to it's maybe a little bit like a video game, but you're creating a scenario that students can get into. So we'll take a look at those as well. Another area worth emphasizing is this area of specific topics tied out to learning objectives. This is particularly useful during the design phase of a course, the course design phase, where you have curated lists of things like case studies on the topic of entrepreneurship in this case, or core curriculum. This is particularly useful in cases where I'm not planning to use a traditional textbook or not emphasizing a traditional textbook, and yet at the same time I need some deep material that gets into specific topics that are crucial to the learning objectives of the course. So things like topics like launching global businesses or business development, attracting talent, building high performance teams, leading high growth. These are examples of curated material that are longer than articles, so they're more involved, and at the same time not as lengthy as a book, and can be very, very much tailored in terms of how they fit into the course design. Another area that's particularly helpful when designing and ensuring that part of your learning objectives is to highlight and recognize diversity and equity and inclusion, incorporating the stories and the work of wide ranges of individuals from different backgrounds, different races, perspectives, genders, and so forth. So there are curated lists that help to highlight these. So things like the entrepreneurship cases with protagonists of color provide some great examples, like Backstage Capital with Arlen Hamilton, or United Housing, Otis Gates. Similarly, there's a entrepreneurship cases with female protagonists. So things like Rent the Runway, Jennifer Heyman, or like Bright Star Care, Shelley Sun. So just examples that can allow you to ensure you meet all the learning objectives of your course. In any case, just wanted to share that. This has been very useful for me in augmenting my course material and bringing forward relevant stories for class discussions and lectures. And ultimately, the case studies have been very useful in creating projects for students to work on together as teams or individually. So hopefully that's helpful, and let's keep going.